At the conclusion of part 1 of this video, we were looking at a text file which contained all the version changes that had occurred during a period of time developing a database. This can be useful if you have to go back in time to restore code after you've gone down some rat hole and changed code which turns out to have been a mistake. You can go back and find an earlier version in this text file and substitute that in instead. This also can be useful if 4D suffers from some unpredictable bug and crashes, potentially taking your work with it. You have a safety net here in that all of your code has been recorded as you worked on it. Having looked at this file, we'll go ahead and now bring it into the ArchiveMethod database itself. So we'll go ahead and fire that up. And as you remember, that database was initially empty. It has no method records. But we're going to go ahead and bring in the ones that we have created with our new database. So we'll go to the Add menu and import the methods. Navigate to that file that we just looked at, and we'll open it with this database. It might ask you that initially what name you want to put for the lead programmer. And it also, as a default, will give you an opportunity to leave a note about your code. We'll go ahead and say yes to that and accept it. An information window comes up stating that 11 method versions have been added to the database. And indeed, if I go and look at our methods now, we can see those 11 methods have been added. We can look at any individual one and see the code for it. If we go back to the desktop, we can see now that that text file that we'd created has disappeared because all of its contents have been brought into the database and are no longer necessary. If we go back to the development environment and make some minor change, I'll just add a blank line here. You can see that a change has been made, and I'll go ahead and save that. And when I look, sure enough, the text file has reappeared. If I look at it, it just has that single method in it with the extra line. In summary, this is the basic methodology of how the ArchiveMethod system works. As you're developing code, every time you save it or run the code in interpreted form or close a window, the current status of that method code is saved in that text file and accumulates in that text file until such time as you import it into the ArchiveMethod database. Now, this is all well and good for a new database such as the Rabbit database, but what about an old database? If we make it a participating database by putting the files in the right location, as is explained in other videos, it will become a participating database, and all the changes made to its methods will be recorded and can be stored in the ArchiveMethod database. But the pre-existing methods won't exist there unless we go to the effort to put them there. So we're going to all open this database, which is a pre-existing one, and take a look at how that's done. Here's one method, and if we look at the list of methods, there are many, many methods in this database, and we want to bring them into the ArchiveMethod database to prime the pump, as it were. The way that's done is you go to the Run environment and you choose Method, and if you scroll down to the very end, you'll see this option of opening a command center. And that's what we want to do. There's a little warning here that we're not going to be able to import methods from a host into the host database because we don't have that particular file in place, but that's not what we're about right now. We'll just say OK to that. And now we're looking at in this area, and this is what we want to do. We want to export all the legacy methods from this database. So I'll go ahead and click on that. And you can see really rapidly that it's been exported into a folder. In fact, it ends up in the addable methods folder. So we'll say OK to that. And we're done here for now. And indeed, I'll just go ahead and close that database, and we'll go back to the ArchiveMethod database and see if we can bring in all those old methods. So we've gone ahead and opened the ArchiveMethod database, and now let's add all those legacy methods from the TIDE database. We go to the Add menu, and we navigate to the Addable Methods folder, and we find the rabbit text here, but what we're interested in is this legacy folder here. And we look inside, and there is a text file which has all the information from the TIDE database. Go ahead and open that. And you can see here that it's adding all these methods. Indeed, 489 methods were added to the database. If we go look at the situation, we can see the rabbit database methods here, but here are the TIDE database methods, and there are many, many of them. And we can go look at any one of them to see that code. And now, when we work on the TIDE database and create new versions or new methods entirely, they can be added to what are the already pre-existing methods from that database.